at about 5 minutes after the hour, so let's hop right in and get started. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's session all about SBA programs and services for new ventures. Today we're going to be talking all about how SBA has funding and resources available for entrepreneurs and folks who are in those beginning stages of starting their new venture. And so we're very honored to be able to be here with you today. I'm going to take a quick moment to do 2 items of housekeeping and then introduce myself and my co-presenter, Michael, who's going to be on here hopefully shortly. It seems like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties on that end. And then we're going to hop right in and cover a lot of information. So a few items of housekeeping. First, just make sure to keep yourself on mute throughout today's presentation until we get to the very end, at which point we're going to open things up for a Q&A. So if you have any questions for us at that point, I'll invite anyone to take themselves off of mute and go ahead and ask a question out loud at that end. But until then, please keep yourself muted. However, please feel free to share your video. We love to see your faces, love to feel like we're in the same room, even through this very unusual virtual environment. So feel free to pop that video on. And then, of course, by this point, many of us are familiar with the chat feature in Hopin. So please feel free to use the chat at any point today if you have any questions that you want to make sure that we address, if you're having any technical issues, or if there is something you need us to pause or clarify on, pop that in the chat. We'll be moderating that and taking a peek at that as we go along. So without much further ado, I want to briefly introduce myself and my coworker and co-presenter, Michael, and then we're going to hop right in and talk about what we're going to be covering together today. So my name is Sarah Carroll. I am our outreach and marketing specialist in the Minnesota District Office of SBA in Minneapolis. And I also come from the entrepreneurship world. So I just earned my Master's in Public Policy and MBA at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. So shout out if there are any other Carlson alumni in this session, and was part of the Carlson Ventures enterprise, where I launched a social venture in the food and agriculture space. And prior to that was in the nonprofit industry working on a variety of food, environmental, and democracy issues. And I'm very pleased to be able to serve right now with the Minnesota District of SBA. And my pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm also going to take a moment to introduce my coworker, Michael, who looks like was just able to pop on here over video. So hi, Michael. I want to share a little bit about Michael's wonderful background. So Michael Waldegerma uses he, him pronouns, and Michael is our program support assistant for our Minnesota District Office of SBA. And Michael has an incredible background. He's worked with the city of Minneapolis to promote civic engagement in North Minneapolis. And he's also an AmeriCorps alum, having also served with the North Minneapolis Promise Zone to increase economic activity through racial equity framework. And Michael is particularly passionate about equity and increasing access to government resources. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. So with that said, I'm going to pass things over to Michael, who's going to get us started and start sharing all about SBA funding and resources for new ventures. So Michael, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, just like Sarah, I'm really excited to be here to talk about SBA and the resources that we have available for startups, small businesses, entrepreneurs of all sizes and whatnot. So with that, let's just get started really quickly. So what is SBA? So SBA, that is the U.S. Small Business Administration. It's a federal agency that works with small businesses and entrepreneurs to really ignite and spark change and action so that the small businesses can confidently start, grow, expand, and recover. And as you can see with our agenda, we're really going to be touching on programs in all of these different sort of domains. So we're going to be just starting off with a quick overview of SBA, talk about the free trainings that we have and the resources that we have available for businesses to really start and get off the ground. And then also talk about our resource partners and our resource network and how they can assist you in small business. We're going to be talking about the loan programs that SBA has for small businesses. Also talk about how SBA can really help your small business expand and really grow through the Emerging Leaders cohort and through other business opportunities. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly, also, we're going to be talking about how SBA can help you. So we're going to be touching on COVID-19 relief programs, and then, of course, any questions that you might have for us. So with that, as you see on our next slide, we're going to be doing just a quick run through of the Minnesota District Office. So like I said earlier, SBA is a federal agency that helps small businesses to really start, grow, and expand and recover. And so we have here at the Minnesota District Office, we really have a great team with a lot of expertise that they really bring forward in terms of helping small businesses really connect with the necessary resources that they might need, whether that's lenders and or financing, trainings, resource partners, mentors. We also support small businesses in terms of helping them navigate disaster recovery resources. And then we also have programs that are specifically for veteran-owned, women-owned, and minority-owned businesses. So that's also another thing that we work with. And then so one of the biggest things that I really want to touch on that SBA has is the trainings. There is a lot of information that we always try to give to small businesses. Everyone on our team in some way does a training, basically, whether it's focused on business basics or focused on helping startups, or really working to network and bring in expert guests that really can dive into a specific subject or a specific field really in depth. We just have a variety of different topics that we talk about, and we always have trainings on. And so I would highly recommend you to follow our calendar on our website. You will see the link on the slide. And it just has all the trainings that we do, as well as trainings from our resource partners. And then one of the biggest ones is the Money Smart trainings. That's really sort of tailored and focused on helping startups, entrepreneurs, and really just small businesses get off the ground and sort of take their business from an idea to a reality. And then I know that I mentioned the trainings that SBA has, but another great resource for trainings is our resource partners. And so they are a variety of different entities that are approved and funded by SBA. There are over 1,400 of them throughout the nation. They include women business centers, the small business development centers, veterans business outreach centers, the SCORE network, and they really offer reliable advice that can also help you start your business, connect you with the experts that really understand the business climate that is most pertinent to you in your field, in your area. And you can the best way to get in touch with the small business resource partners that might be the best fit for you is to go to our link on this slide, which is sba.gov/local assistance. And that way you can get in touch with the closest chapters to you. And of course, a lot of this is sort of focused in Minnesota, but you can also use this link for if you're anywhere else in the United States, and it'll find you the resource partner that's closest to you. So having talked about sort of the different startup pieces, I'd like to delve into capital and sort of how SBA can really help you grow. And so one of the ways that SBA can do that is through our loan programs. And so there are a couple of different ones, and I'm going to be talking about SBA-backed loans the most, but there are another pieces also, private investors, and then research and development funds, grants, and then I'm also going to touch on surety bonds, but I think really the most would be the SBA-backed loans. So SBA-backed loans, what are they? SBA loan programs are designed with the businesses in mind. So this includes longer repayment terms, lower payments, no prepayment penalties, and all of that really gives you the flexibility that you need as a small business to really meet your financial obligations. SBA loan guarantees make it possible for many small businesses to access to start and grow or potentially expand their business if they're at the right point in their business trajectory. You can find a list of the lenders that SBA has that participate in SBA-backed loans on our website. You can just look for Minnesota lenders list, and it'll show you the full list of lenders in our resources, basically. And there are a variety of different loans that SBA can really help you find in terms of funding for a variety of different uses for your business. So this could be anything from, like I said, launching and starting your business, purchasing a small business. If you need revolving credit, if you need to purchase inventory, real estate, equipment, it's sort of the whole range of items. And so don't feel that SBA might not be able to assist you. It's always better to just ask and see what programs we might have available for you. SBA loans can go from $500 to millions of dollars. So reach out to us, reach out to a resource partner. We can help. And then if you don't want to try to find that PDF on our website, another great resource that we have on our website is the lender match. The way the lender match works is that you basically fill out a contact page with information in terms of like phone number and email, and then put a little description of your business and what exactly you are looking for in a loan in terms of the repayment and in terms of the amount and whatnot, and then what you're aiming to do with the loan. And interested lenders then reply to that, typically within a few days. And then they'll reach out to you, and then you'll start having a dialogue with them, and then apply for a loan. Of course, if you already have a relationship with a lender, then it might be a good idea before using this tool, but it might be a good way to shop around and see what other might be able to secure. So definitely a good resource, and the link for that is on the website. It's also on the slide, SBA lender match. And then I kind of want to touch on just briefly some of the ways that you can really best equipped to secure a loan. This is something that, and as well as our office can help you with in terms of preparing your business plan and sort of giving you for how to really make sure your business plan and your pitch is as ready as it can be. Resource partners can help you out by making sure that your business plan is, that you have accurate financial statements and you have financial projections that are detailed and that go out far enough. Generally speaking, lenders want to know all of that information because it determines the size of your loan. It can determine a lot of different pieces, and they really want to know everything about your business in terms of collateral, in terms of your credit history, the size of your business, and how old it is. And so sometimes if your business is a little bit smaller, you really want to make sure that your as good as it can be. And then beyond our loan program, we also have the small business investment companies. And the way that they work is that basically it's sort of like Shark Tank, but they're all backed by SBA. So small business investment company is a privately owned company that's licensed and regulated by SBA. And so the way they work is that they invest in small businesses in the form of either debt or equity. And then, so to be clear, SBA isn't the one directly investing in small businesses. It provides the funding to the qualified small business investment companies. They have the expertise, the know-how in specific industries or sectors. And then these small business investment companies use their private funds alongside SBA's funding to invest in small businesses. So if you feel like you have a business with really promising prospects, or you have a product that you think could really scale up, or a business that could scale up, you should dive out to a small business investment company directory, which is on this slide as well. And then the other funding source that I would recommend looking into, especially if you're interested in research and development, is small business innovation and research and the small business technology transfer programs. These are organized by SBA for businesses that are really focused on tech or I guess STEM, science, tech, engineering, and math. work to connect them with federal agencies that are willing to fund promising technology or a promising product without forcing the entrepreneurs to give up any equity or ownership in their company or in their business. And so it's really a great way to fund any research and development or prototyping. And you can take advantage of upwards of $2 billion worth of funding every year for small businesses through these programs. And you can learn more about this program by going to sbir.gov, which is on the slide, and learn more about that through that. And then lastly, I want to touch on surety bonds. So a lot of businesses that try to secure public or private contracts often are required to also obtain, which are provided by surety companies. It's basically a guarantee that the small business will follow through on the work that they're agreeing to undertake. And it can be challenging for some small businesses if they're really small or really they're just getting started to secure some surety bonds. And so what SBA does is it guarantees surety bonds through certain surety companies, which then allows those companies to offer surety bonds to small businesses that might otherwise not be able to secure surety bonds. And so if this is something that you're interested in terms of securing public or private contracting, you can find by visiting sba.gov and looking under funding programs. And that's, again, really a smaller program, but it can be useful if it's what you're interested in and what your business is sort of set up for. And so now, having talked about contracting and touched on it just briefly and talked about surety bonds, I'm going to hand it off to Sarah to talk about federal contracting.
Thanks
Sarah?
so much, Michael. So Michael did a wonderful job talking about the different types of access to funding that SBA can help you to secure. But let's say that you're ready to go on to that next step and you're thinking about growing your new venture through considering some federal contracting options. One of the ways that new ventures can consider increasing their types of customers that they're serving, increasing and diversifying their business, is by entering into the federal contracting space. And we offer an enormous amount of support to small businesses who are considering federal contracting. So anyone who might be at that stage where exploring federal contracting might be a good fit for your growing new venture, we'd really encourage you to check out sba.gov/contracting, where you can learn more about how it works to do a contracting job with the federal government and what some of the requirements are to do so. We can also assist you in helping you to get ready for the process of being competitive for federal contracting as well. It can be a really profitable market, but it's something that can be really complex. And so you often want to be ready to go and have fully evaluated whether or not your business is a good fit to enter into the federal contracting fray. So we offer some assistance to help evaluate your readiness to undertake federal contracting. And so we can do things like help you to understand whether your systems and capacity are such that it's an appropriate fit for contracting, or help you to understand your ability to find contracts, help you understand whether you've got the structure or experience to be competitive for federal contracts. And so you can do a little bit more research on your own to understand whether you might have that eligibility by going to certify.sba.gov and getting started with exploring some of that information. So for folks who are a little bit more established, again, in their venture, for folks who might have been at the startup process for a couple of years, we want to put on your radar another program that we have to assist you in growing a relatively new venture. And that is our SBA Emerging Leaders Program and Cohort. So I want to take a minute to share with you all what this incredible resource is for anyone who, again, maybe just a couple years into their new venture and is already experiencing some positive signs and is ready to really grow into that next phase. So let's break this down. So our SBA Emerging Leaders Program is an executive education course for small businesses that are really getting ready to go into that either growth or transition phase of the company. And so the way that our cohort works is we provide you a space where you are able to get out of the day-to-day nitty-gritty of working in your business and kind of step back out, zoom out to that 20,000 feet to work on positioning your business for those next stages of growth. So part of our cohort involves connecting you with a network of both public and private resources that work with you and help to do some of those steps, provide some of that support as you go through those activities to help your company grow. And we help to expand your circle of trusted advisors and help to get you connected to other business owners who are in the cohort, both in past classes and in the present, so that you're surrounded by that network of companies at a similar stage as you, going through that same growth process so that you can learn from each other's successes and challenges. So let's talk a little bit about the Emerging Leaders Program in the context of who's eligible. So if you fit into any of these categories here, if as I go through this next checklist, if you're nodding along and thinking, oh, that might be me, then I want you to put checking out our Emerging Leaders Program on your to-do list coming out of Twin Cities Startup Week. So if you're a small business owner who's a C-suite executive, we're looking at our CEOs, our COOs, our CTOs. If you're running a business that has annual revenues between $250,000 a year and $10 million a year, that's in the bracket that we're looking at for this program. Again, we're looking at startups who are a couple years into it, so folks who've been in business at least 3 years or more. You need to have an employee outside of yourself, so you need to at least have one employee on the payroll, and then have the ability to make that commitment that's required to working with an ongoing cohort and demonstrate that your business is right at the point where you're posed for some serious growth. And so if you're thinking, okay, that might be me, but what am I actually going to get out of something like our Emerging Leaders Program? This is what you're going to really tangibly walk away with. Folks in our Emerging Leaders cohort will be able to complete a 3-year strategic growth action plan so that you know exactly what you need to do next to catapult your business into the next stage. You'll have a strong network of peers so that you, again, are not alone in this process, and that growth stage for startups can be so challenging. So you're going to have that community support. You're going to have access to industry experts. SBA has incredible relationships, and so you're going to help get access to those relationships through the cohort. And then again, so many of us are just in the weeds on the day-to-day of operating our business. This is that dedicated time for you to step back and zoom out so you can ask yourself the big questions of what's going to get you into, again, that high growth next stage. And, we all know that there are many players in the, accelerator, support your business through its next high growth, stage players. There's plenty of organizations and companies who support entrepreneurs through that stage. Because SBA is a federal agency, this is a course that is offered for free. It's worth thousands of dollars, but it's offered for free to those who are selected to participate. So if cost is a barrier for you obtaining access to support like this, but you fit into those eligibility categories, this is for sure the thing for you. And so I'd really encourage you to get in touch with myself or Michael, or drop a note in the chat, or pay very attention in our very last slide when we talk about how to follow up with us so we can talk to you about getting totally connected to our Emerging Leaders Program. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is our different programs to help small businesses, including new ventures, to recover from various disasters and things that are unplanned. And we all know right now we're experiencing a lot of things in the world that are unplanned. And so I want to make sure everyone here knows that SBA has disaster assistance loans available to folks, including the owners of new ventures, to help folks to recover from declared disasters. And so we're going to talk about 2 of our different disaster programs and make sure that folks have the general information on how to connect with our disaster assistance. So our disaster programs are usually designed to help folks to get through declared disasters like hurricanes, floods, wildfires, this year, COVID-19. And our disaster loans can help with things like real estate costs, covering personal property that might have been damaged or destroyed, Economic injury to the business, if your business lost the ability to generate revenue due to that declared disaster outside of your control, we help with that. It can cover things like machinery and equipment, inventory, and we also have the ability for active duty military to also take advantage of SBA disaster assistance loans. So let's break this down a little bit more. And first, we're going to talk about this within the context of COVID-19, because of course that's on so many of our radars, especially if we are entrepreneurial or have a new venture in this current environment. So let's take a second and let's break down some of the different COVID-19 relief programs that we have right now. And we're going to pay special attention to talking about ones that are available that you can apply for right away and ones that are especially good fit for entrepreneurs. And then we're going to talk about an additional declared emergency resource for folks in the Twin Cities area as well. So we have a couple of different COVID-19 relief programs. Folks may have heard in the news, several months ago when the CARES Act passed, SBA was able to move forward and offer some new emergency assistance to small businesses to make it through COVID-19. And one of the main pieces of that was we have a program called an economic injury disaster loan, also referred to as EIDL, and we made that available for COVID-19 reasons. And so we're going to talk in a second about that economic injury disaster loan. There was an advance available earlier in the year attached to that, but that advance is now closed. So that's why we've got that in red below. So bear that in mind. It was available in the past, but it is right now the entirety of funds for that particular program has been allocated. And then we have 3 other COVID-19 relief programs. We've got some little X's on there to give you a heads up that these are programs that are either not currently accepting new applications or we're getting really, really close to the deadline for. So let me break that down for y'all real quick. The Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP program, is now closed, but we're going to talk about it for a moment for folks who may have already applied. And then we have 2 additional programs, the SBA Debt Relief Program and a new program called the Community Advantage Recovery Loans, or Carroll. And those 2 programs help to decrease the cost of gaining access to capital during COVID-19. And the deadline for both SBA Debt Relief and Carroll are literally right around the corner. Loans for those 2 programs need to have been originated by the 27th of September. So that's in 3 days. So if you have heard of the SBA Debt Relief Program or Carroll before and you want to scramble and learn more about it, I'd encourage you to check those out immediately and speak with an SBA lender. But because the timeline of that is so short, we're going to be again focusing on the economic injury disaster loan. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because again, this is one of our kind of flagship COVID-19 programs that is available and that you can apply for right now, especially as a venture. So let's talk about what is an economic injury disaster loan and how does this work. Economic injury disaster loans provide working capital to help you to cover kind of normal day-to-day expenses to make it through COVID-19. And the way the economic injury disaster loan works is if your business is eligible, you can receive up to $150,000 to use on capital expenses like payroll costs and some very specific other things like rent, mortgage, material costs, and other pre-existing debt not being covered by the Paycheck Protection Program. So it's got very narrow specific uses. And this is a loan, so it is a low-cost federal loan that has very long repayment terms. So it is terms up to 30 years with a 3.75% interest rate for businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits. And there's a 1-year deferral for the loan. So you can obtain an economic injury disaster loan, not make any payments for the entire first year while you're using that capital to make sure your business is doing okay. And then interest will be accruing during that point, but you don't actually start making payments on the loan until 1 year out. And what's really nice here is there's no prepayment penalty. So at any point you can prepay that entirety of the loan or any portion ahead of schedule that you'd like to without penalty. You need to be a small business to qualify for an economic injury disaster loan. And so for that, we're talking about businesses with under 500 employees or who are otherwise considered small by SBA size standards. And again, this program is open. So if you are interested in applying for the economic injury disaster loan program, I'd encourage you to check out that website that we have listed on this screen so that you can go online and apply. There is a relatively simple online application through the SBA website. And of course, if you have any any questions about your economic injury disaster loan, you can of course follow up with myself or Michael. And again, we'll talk to you about how to follow up with us here shortly. And then I mentioned we were going to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program just briefly for folks who may have already applied for that. The Paycheck Protection Program is now closed, but folks may have remembered from the news or from already accessing it for your own business, the PPP program is a forgivable loan that helps to be able to keep employees on the payroll during specific weeks to be able to keep your staff employed and your payroll costs going. And because it's a forgivable loan, if you use the PPP funds in the way that they're intended, you may be eligible to have your loan forgiven. And so we want to bring this up first just to say we hope that if you were one of the over 100,000 Minnesota small businesses who received a PPP loan, we hope that that over $11.27 billion that you may have received a piece of is helping to make it through a very challenging year for many of us. But also to mention that the online portal for forgiveness is now open. So if you've already received the PPP loan and you are ready to enter that forgiveness process to see if it's possible to have your loan potentially forgiven, it's time to start checking that out. So go back to your SBA lender with whom you applied, let them know you want to start the loan forgiveness process, and they'll assist you with that. And then to just look back on both PPP and the economic injury disaster loan, remember that these programs are certainly programs that entrepreneurs or new ventures can qualify for. Especially the economic injury disaster loan, you can be a very young business and potentially qualify. What's interesting about the economic injury disaster loan is we look at whether your company or your nonprofit sustained economic injury, sustained a financial hurt to the business based on COVID-19. So that means you need to have been in operations prior to COVID-19 so that we can see, okay, how was the business doing right before and how is it doing now? And if we see that, oh yeah, economic injury happened between 2019 and 2020, that's something that you very well may qualify for. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm a really young business, I've only been around for, a little over a year, or, I only started in 2019, I don't know if this is the thing for me, I'd really encourage you to check that out or follow up with us so that we can answer any questions that you have, because again, you can be a young fish, a new player, and still qualify for some of these programs. So I mentioned we were going to talk about one final type of SBA program to help recover from disaster. And this one in particular is particularly important for folks to know who may be in the Twin Cities metro area. We know we may have folks who are joining us from all over the country for our virtual Twin Cities Startup Week this year. But if you are in Hennepin or adjacent counties, I want you to pay particular attention to this program because we want to make sure you know about it, and we want to make sure that you can share it with your network in the Twin Cities metro area as well. So let's talk about this one. SBA has a civil unrest disaster declaration related to the week following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis and the civil unrest that ensued afterwards. So we're looking at the dates of May 27th to June 8th. And so if you are either a small business owner or a homeowner or a renter who may have been affected by civil unrest during those periods of time, if you experienced either physical damage or economic injury to your small business, or if you're a homeowner and renter who may have experienced physical damage or loss or destruction of property, SBA has resources to help with that recovery as well. We have 3 different types of assistance available for this particular declared disaster. We offer economic injury disaster loans, and you may be thinking, oh, that sounds familiar because you were just talking about that a few minutes ago. You can receive an economic injury disaster loan for COVID and receive an economic injury disaster loan for the civil unrest declared disaster. So bear that in mind. The second type that we have is a business physical disaster loan. So again, if your business has suffered physical damage, we have programs to help with that repair and rebuilding. And then you can be a homeowner or renter and qualify for a homeowner or renter disaster loan as well. The deadlines for some of the physical damage pieces of our assistance is coming up very, very soon in the first week of October. So I want to encourage everyone, if you think that you even may have been affected by economic injury or physical damage due to civil unrest, please get in touch with us. Again, we'll share our information in a moment so that we can assist you in getting connected to the opportunity to apply for these programs. And we're doing everything that we can to spread the news as widely as possible about these resources throughout Hennepin and adjacent counties, which is where the disaster declaration holds. So please share this information with your network, with your friends, with your family, with your neighbors, with folks on other parts of Twin Cities Startup Week, so we can help get the word out about this as widely as possible. So with that said, we have covered a lot of information in a small amount of time. I want to thank everyone so much for your attention. To wrap things up, I want to share how you can stay in touch with us after today, because as I mentioned, Michael and I and our entire team at our Minnesota District Office are here to assist you with that process of getting connected to these various programs that we offer. And so we want to make sure you can get in touch with us. And then right afterwards, we're going to open things up for a Q&A in case anyone has any questions and wants to get some answers. That's what we're here to help with too. So let's run through the different ways you can stay in touch with us. First things first, we have an e-newsletter that I want to encourage everyone to subscribe for, and here is why. Our e-newsletter sends out incredibly timely and accurate updates, not only about COVID-19 relief programs and other opportunities to connect with SBA funding, but also to give you really up-to-date information about our different free trainings that we offer, different events, and a variety of need-to-know information, especially for the Minnesota small business community. So we know we're already on your computer. I just want you to go right now to sba.gov/updates, pop in your email, pop in your zip code, and get onto our e-newsletter list. When you're done with that, for anyone who is a Twitter user, we are in your Twitter feed. You should follow our Twitter account for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it's one of the places that we share as quickly as possible when we hear about opportunities for funding for the small business community around the state of Minnesota. So if you're really trying to keep your ear to the ground about where opportunities for funding for new ventures might be able to come from, you might want to be on our Twitter account. We also share events, opportunities to connect with us. We right now are honoring a number of small businesses throughout the state for National Small Business Week. So it's a really great place to get timely news and opportunities for alerts for resources. So right now, pull up your Twitter account, grab your phone, find us at SBA_Minnesota, and go ahead and give us a follow so we can stay in touch with you there. And then last, every single year we put out a big publication, and it's called our Resource Guide. It's basically a giant publication, a PDF, that has tons of information all about our different SBA programs, including the list of Minnesota lenders, all about the different types of loans that we have, different ways that we highlight and amplify incredible small businesses that have connected with SBA in the past in our state. So you can pop on to our 2020 resource guide through the link here and can get connected to that resource as well. Finally, we want to hear from you. So if you have any questions for myself, for Michael, for our team, here's how you can get in touch with us. Our team has a office-wide mailbox that basically everyone in our Minneapolis office monitors, which means we get back to folks very quickly, and we draw on a variety of different perspectives of our team's expertise. So it's a really great place to get questions answered really quickly. So you can send an email to minneapolis.mn@sba.gov, and we'll get back to you super fast. And then my contact information and Michael's contact information is on here as well, both our emails and our direct lines. So please get in touch with us, give us a call, or shoot us an email so that we can work with you on any questions that you may have. And that said, again, I want to thank everyone so much for your attention and for your patience. For our folks who are in the final stretch of Twin Cities Startup Week, we're very honored that you chose to pop into this session on the second to last day, and hope that this information has been helpful so that you have a little bit more of your bearing about the different services that SBA offers for new ventures and for entrepreneurs. So with that said, this is my turn to stop talking and your turn to start talking. So here's how this is going to work. At this point, if you have any questions, I want to encourage you to either pop into the session chat or take yourself off of mute. You can share your audio and video, and we'll be able to see your lovely face and hear your lovely voice, and would be very happy to answer any questions that you have to the very best of our ability. And for folks who might want to pop out to another session or go to networking, know that Michael and I are going to hang out in here until the half-hour mark, and so we'll be here if you have any questions for us as well. We also love your feedback, so if you have any reactions to this presentation, suggestions for how we could make it better, recommendations on what worked or what didn't, the good, the bad, the ugly, we want to hear that feedback so we can continue to make sure the way that we share about our programs is as helpful as possible. And I see some comments popping into the chat right now. And thank you all for those kind words so far. So I'm going to pause and give anyone who wants to ask a question the opportunity to take themselves off of mute. And I see a question has come in from Ryan. Ryan, thank you so much for popping a question in the chat. I'm going to read that out loud for everyone. So Ryan asks, one question, how can we apply for the SBA Emerging Leaders Cohort? Ryan, that's a really great question. So if you or someone that you know might be that good fit for the Emerging Leaders Cohort, and I'll just go back for a minute so that we can pull up those slides for folks who want to see that part again. If you're interested in connecting with our Emerging Leaders program, the first thing that I would recommend that you do is send a brief email over to our Minnesota District Office email account. And I'm going to pop that right now in the chat as well. And in there, I'd recommend that you just very briefly introduce yourself, say that you heard about Emerging Leaders program through Twin Cities Startup Week, and let us know that you're interested in connecting with that program, and we will follow up. We have a fantastic public affairs specialist. Her name is Sarah Swente, who does an enormous amount of work on our Emerging Leaders program, and we'll make sure to follow up with you to get you even more information and to get you connected. So Brian, that's a really great question. Thank you so much for asking that. And again, I'll pause in case anyone else wants to take themselves off mute or pop another question into the chat. I'm not seeing anything come through, and I'm not hearing anyone on my end. Again, if you want to take yourself off of mute, you have an option kind of in the upper right-hand corner of the black display screen where you should be able to opt to share your audio and video, and you can click on that in order to show your face and share your voice, and we can listen to your question out loud or in the chat. Okay, again, not seeing or hearing anything. I think we can go ahead and officially conclude the presentation portion of today's session. I see that there are still a couple of folks hanging out in the session with us. So again, feel free to hang out. We're going to be here for, about 13 more minutes. And so we're happy to hang out here and talk with you and learn more about your business or answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, everyone, thank you so much. And Michael, any closing remarks that you want to make?
No, yeah, just want to thank everyone for joining us during the session. And if you have a question and you maybe want to follow up with us via email, once again, you can send out an email to the district office inbox right there, and we'll be able to get back to you with the answers.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Okay. Michael, I think it's just the three of us, you, me, and my shared screen now. So I think that's it.
Okay, sweet.
Woohoo.
Going pretty well.
Yeah.
I had a few technical issues that were quite concerning. I wasn't sure if that was on my end or your end. It sounds like it was on my end, which was a relief because it happened while you were talking. Were there any issues when I was talking at all? Did I cut off?
Great.
No? Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, really nice job. Yay.
Yeah, thank you. You did a good job too. I'm seeing something in the bottom left. Do you see in the moderation panel? That just popped up for me. Dustin Morris.
Does that mean, oh, here we go.
Oh, Brandon.
Here we go. Let's see if we can do that.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Dustin, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Whoa, there we go.
Thank you so much for the information.
You're so welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks. I've been looking at the Minnesota Launch Grant programs, and I think my startup company would be eligible. I'm just trying to go through all the requirements and all the documentation that you guys need. I'm just wondering if there's like a typical gotcha in this process, or how long it would take too, if you guys could just talk about it a little bit more.
Dustin, do you mind if I ask a follow-up question first to make sure we can answer that in the right way for you?
Yeah.
It sounds like you were looking at one of Launch Minnesota's programs, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Launch Minnesota is separate from SBA. They're both, basically public-private partnerships in a sense, but because we're the federal agency, Launch MN is separate from us.
Okay.
Contact information to get in touch with staff from Launch MN, who I'm sure would be so happy to answer any questions you have about their application process and help you avoid any pitfalls.
Yeah, that would be great. I just don't know if I looked at the SBA website too, and I just didn't think that our company would comply with any of the actual grants that are out there. And that's probably why I started looking at the Minnesota Launch Program.
Sure thing. Can I ask a little bit about your company? Are you in a position where you're able to share? Yeah.
So Asante is a tech startup, and we're just making one device, and it's a really small tracking device for special needs children. That's our only niche target, is going after that small target out of all the tracking market. But we, as a founder, I have personal experience with children with autism, so I just know that this device is actually needed in the market, even though there's a lot like it. There's a product market fit here that I think that I got. And it's just about trying to get financing to get going on the company. But,
for sure.
Yeah, we have a prototype. It's just not fully functional, so we just need to help hire developers and go from there.
Absolutely. Well, first, that sounds fascinating, and it sounds like there's a social element to what you're doing, and in particular around making sure that folks who either are autistic or have children who are autistic have that tech support they need to live safe lives. And so that's awesome that you're looking at that space. I think definitely getting in touch with Launch MN folks is a really great idea. I also want to ask, because it sounds like there is that social element to what you're doing as well. Have you gotten connected with any of the other incubators who are in that social entrepreneurship space who also offer different types of resources?
No, I haven't. I've really just started to reach out. This is the first time I've even done Twin Cities Startup Week, so it's like it's been exciting to hear so much and learn so much. But no, I need to start talking with a lot more folks and build that network up.
Do you mind if I put one particular resource on your radar?
Sure.
Yeah, are you in the Twin Cities metro area yourself?
Yes, Minneapolis.
Okay, awesome. Are you familiar with the Innovation program or the Fin Fellows?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, I'm going to put a name, put a name on your radar for you, and this is going to be a good person for you to get in touch with. Her name is Connie Rutledge, C-O-N-N-I-E, and she runs the Innovation program. So, are you you're not that familiar with Innovation at all?
No, I'm not.
So they're
Innovation.
Yep. So the quick backstory is Irish pub in downtown Minneapolis that decided to become a social venture themselves and help use kind of alcohol sales as a start to do really good community work and build the social entrepreneurship ecosystem. And so they created basically like a social entrepreneurship focused co-working space, as well as a Innovation Fellows program where every single year they take a class of fellows who they provide financial support to as folks are going through the process of working on relatively early stage social ventures. They tend to have a food and ag focus, but I don't know if they exclusively fund in that arena, but they're incredibly connected. So, you know, as you're working on your networking and exploring different opportunities for early funding, I just have a hunch that having a conversation with them might be fruitful, regardless of whether they're a perfect fit. They're going to have really good recommendations, I would hazard a guess.
Yeah, I will see if I can reach out to Connie on LinkedIn and see if she'll accept
Awesome.
and go from there. But yeah, I got to research Finovation a little bit more. It looks, it sounds interesting.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing, Dustin. Your company, what you're working on sounds really interesting. I want to make sure you get all the support that you need.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Michael. You guys have a good day.
Thanks, Dustin. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool product.
Yeah. I think we can, should we close it out? Or give it 5 more minutes in case anyone pops back in?
I think we can close it out.
Okay, awesome. Computer high five. Nice job.
Computer high five. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. All right.
Thank you so much.
You too.